Okay, hi everyone. Thank you for coming. I'm Emma, and I'm joined by Ricardo from Luggett, as the gigs mentioned, and also Peter from the UN World Travel Organization. So here at South Summit, we really like to bring together professionals with expertise in different perspectives on different topics, and that's exactly what we're doing here today. And we will be kind of exploring the future of travel and tourism and kind of seeing how we can enhance the tourism experience. So we can start out with Peter. If you don't mind telling us a bit of an overview about the UN Tourism Organization and maybe some of its current initiatives.
Thank you, and good morning to everyone. I would like to ask one question to the audience. How many of you heard about UN tourism? Hands up. Okay, so it's not a bad. Usually it's always no one, yeah? And either it means that we do a really bad job or our communication team is doing a bad job. How many of you knows that the UN tourism based here in Madrid, in Spain? Okay, that's a little bit less. So this is the only UN agency with a headquarters in Spain, and I'm really proud to be part of this team now for 13 years. I used to work in a department which is dealing with member states from Europe, and I moved to this department 2 years ago, which is innovation, education, and investments. It could be 3 individual departments on its own because it's huge and massive, but it's brought in one department because each of the 3 areas are interlinked. No? One of them is innovation, and I think that's why I'm here today to talk about a little bit that innovation in tourism means almost everything, no? And particularly after COVID, we see the transformation and an appetite, not only from the traveler side, but also from the public sector, which is our main clients, no? We have the member states, 166 member states, and the ministries responsible for tourism are our main clients. So we are working with them from a policy perspective and how to integrate innovation into any tourism strategy or tourism action plans. What we see is the power of digitalization, and of course, that was, I say, an innovation revolution of like 6 years ago. And now what we see, I think I'm not saying something new, it's the artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and the Internet of Things, which is really occupying all the discussions. And the UN as such, as usually the public sector is a little bit lagging behind, no? The private sector is always running with the innovation things, no? The circular economy, sharing platforms, and then we try to catch up with this revolution. So we are working really hard as with our sister agencies and the UN Secretariat to come up with a universal framework how artificial intelligence from an ethical, from a legal point of view should be used and how this could be integrated into tourism. Also, there is a huge demand from travelers, G-Zens, X-Zens, you name it, the future of travelers. I consider myself a dinosaur, still Facebook type of person, Instagram already giving me some hard things to tackle. But these things are forcing the industry to come up with some really new ideas and new innovative ideas. Nevertheless, I think one thing we can agree when we talk about artificial intelligence or talk about augmented reality, that this is a people-to-people business, no? It's nice to see things in an augmented reality, let's say the Colosseum of Rome, but I think who would like to switch to an augmented reality of only seeing it in an artificial way or being in Rome and smelling it, what, let's say, the gladiators felt and then the audience being there. So innovation is a good thing, but still it's a people-to-people business, and tourism bring this intercultural part when you go to places and then you travel. Of course, digitalization and seamless travel is fostering your way, but I think the heart and soul is really a people-to-people.
Wow, I didn't know that the UN Tourism Organization was doing all of this. That's crazy. And for you, can you tell us a bit about Luggett and maybe what are some of the logistical challenges that it is kind of addressing in travel?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Pleasure to be with you, Peter, and with you, Emma. I will start the same way. But I think my question is a bit easier. Who likes to travel? Okay.
You won.
Wait, I didn't finish yet. Who likes to carry the luggage while traveling?
Boo.
So that's basically what we solve. Lugit is a global company right now operating in 8 European cities, mainly Madrid here, and also Barcelona and Malaga in Spain. And what we really solve for travelers is the pain of what to do with the luggage when you arrive in the morning and you have meetings or an event and you have the check-in at the afternoon or on the last day. You leave your hotel or Airbnb in the morning, the flight is at the end of the day, you want to enjoy or have meetings, so what to do with the luggage? Basically, we built a platform that enables you to ask for a driver that we call keeper that will collect your luggage at the place and time you want, keep it for as long as you need, that can be some couple of hours or even some weeks or months, and then we deliver it back at the place and time you choose. Basically, this began because my first business was in tourism in Portugal. I founded a small hostel, so that was my... And because of the interactions we were having with my guests, I understood this need, and that's why we are building it everywhere. So in a very small nutshell, this is what we are doing across Europe right now.
Wow, I mean, I was just in Lisbon, and that would have been very helpful for my travel.
Bad on us that we didn't get to you.
I know. So I was curious, what do you guys think are some of the biggest global challenges in tourism today, and maybe what can you do to address them in your respective roles?
Of course, I think our answers are going to be slightly different, coming from the public sector and coming from the private sector.
That's the
goal. Of course, being as a UN agency, we have our global obligations being part of the family and Agenda 2030, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. But earlier this year, the World Economic Forum put its annual survey, which is the most urgent, pressing things that citizens consider. And one of the 3 items came up, of course, is health, public safety. After COVID, I think it's quite obvious. Climate change, rising temperature. Of course, here, UN Paris Agreement, I think we have an obligation how to reduce CO2. And here comes the help of startups, not like Lugit, but like-minded people and disruptive minds who can provide the support, but of course, public sector cannot find sometimes to provide, let's say, from climate tech startups who are helping the sector to reduce. Of course, geopolitical conflicts, and I would not like to name any in general, which came up, and of course, sustainability. Sustainability in every sense, no? Because I think there is a meaning of sustainability before COVID, and there is a meaning of sustainability after COVID. There is a rising awareness from the travelers itself. They are looking for offers which are really sustainable, eco-friendly, food waste, plastic waste, which we can see horrible issues, and we have a responsibility as an organization in this regards to lead the discussion and be the shakers and movers. So I would say climate change, sustainability, public health and safety, and geopolitical conflicts and instability.
Very good.
Yeah, I agree with you, Peter, and I would add, although this might sound contradictory, the regulators of each specific countries, for example, in our sector, speaking about short-term rental industry or whatever, is being highly targeted and as a regulator point of view. And this concerns not only the sustainability, but also the overmass and the ability for local entities or local countries to understand very well how the sustainability can be not only in terms of environment, but also in terms of having the right balance between the demand and the supply of travelers, and ensure that while doing that path, the quality that is the face of each specific city or country to be kept while that growth happens, which is what is happening actually at the moment. So the balance needs to be very, very careful thought.
If I just jump on the balance part, and then you mentioned community. No? 2019, I'm pretty sure, no, everyone was very familiar, news everywhere, no, over-tourism, over-tourism. Of course, COVID made us a favor in that regards, if I can say, that erased over-tourism because there was no tourism at all. So this provided a lead time to the governments and public and private sector to think it. And I think innovation and the Internet of Things providing a great opportunity when it comes to visitor management and visitor flow management how this could be solved in the very short run, because once again, we are back on the growth rate. No? People are looking for numbers. We just recently published our barometer, which means that we are almost all the continents in the world are back to 2019 numbers or even above. Let's say Middle East is the only region which is already 22% above its historical numbers. So the numbers and over-tourism is going to come back. So we have really, once again, this huge responsibility to answer, and that's why we foster this public-private partnership between the startups ecosystem, the academia, and the public sector to work hand in hand together. And one of the prime products what we are having, and I'm happy to have Ricardo here, who was always participating in a startup competition, which is usually either global, regional, or national, trying to tackle problems and relying on disruptive ideas like Luggit was when it comes to how to check where are your luggages in the world and you don't like to lose them. So these kind of things, we really like to work on it and count on the private sector participation.
Wonderful. I want to follow this train. What do you think is the role of public and private sector collaborations in achieving some of these common goals in tourism and travel?
Let's start with the private sector.
Yes, from the private sector, or even considering also public. One of the things that for the private and even startups that helped is what you addressed actually before you asked the question, which is the events and the promotions and everything that the public sector can do to cooperate. In terms of the cities, speaking about the public entities, I think on our case, specifically speaking, there is a lot of impact that we can have and that we have on a traveler journey that at the end of the day can benefit the municipality, can benefit the city, and at the end can benefit the country and the experience as a whole. I know we've been speaking about the customer journey as a whole. Yeah. We tackle the particular part of the luggage, but that can have a broader impact, because if you think on a customer perspective point of view, when I arrive in a city, if I don't have my luggage with me since the first moment, instead of getting a taxi or an Uber or whatever, I can take the public transportation of that city.
True.
And I can enjoy more of what the city has to offer since the first moment, which enables the city also to have a vision of how is the traveler journey since the moment the person's arrived, and what the city can offer in terms of sustainability and other sources of movement and mobility. So considering specific the question of public towards private, sorry. I think the work that WTO does is very interesting, promoting startups and supporting those startups, not only in terms of visibility, but also in terms of funding. And I think that in Portugal and Spain, we have a very similar ways of public funding incentives to companies, not speaking only about technological companies. And I think that should be more agile and should be more practical. So really people can benefit from it and start investing into their businesses.
Yeah.
Basically.
From a case of a public sector, of course, the leading role and the huge responsibility lies on the ministries. Because the ministries are the ones who are creating the regulations, the ministries are the ones who are creating the rules and setting the scene, how a tourism ecosystem can flourish. So they cannot go alone. Because they think better than they are better than the rest, just because the private sector thinks something different and stuff like that. So public consultations and also bringing the community, because the community, particularly here in Spain, and there are certain countries which is even more important than anyone else, bringing the community in stakeholder discussions and co-creation and co-design of a policy and the strategy, it's very important. Of course, how a country is structured is also different when it comes to countries like Indonesia, for example, which is really centralized and public ministry is really the one who are setting the scene, not like, for example, in Spain, when the ministry has a role and then each of the regions has their own authorities and responsibility vis-a-vis tourism is slightly different over there. But once again, in order to create the national policy framework, each and every one has to contribute from their own perspective.
Definitely. I think the collaborations are imperative for moving forward. following back on a topic you guys were discussing earlier, and sustainability, how do you think the travel industry can balance sustainability initiatives while still providing a quality experience?
Of course, when it comes to sustainability, and then we have also economic, cultural, and environmental sustainability. So all these three has to find the right balance vis-a-vis the tourists. The tourists needs to be educated. That's why we also have an education, a very strong education program, which maybe next year, with the support of South-South Summit, I can bring it here and talk about the role and responsibilities of academia. But these three overreaching, economical, cultural, and economical, social cultural three angles has to work in a right balance. And once again, the ministries, the regional authorities or local authorities has to keep in mind all these three. We are working with UNCTAD, our sister agencies, from an investment perspective, an investment point of view, where sustainability is going to play a really key role when it comes to investments. Investments in education, investments in the planet, and investments in prosperity, which is innovation. And it has these three elements, plus the element of the government, the governance structure. So we're working on creating 19 sustainable principles for investing in tourism, which is going to be rolled out in the next couple of weeks, hopefully. And that's going to be, hopefully, a game changer when it comes to investments and changing the people's mind.
Well, we're going to be on the lookout for that, for sure. Do you have anything?
No, I agree with Peter. I think that if we have a seamless travel experience from the point of the decision until the point that we are actually living what we supposed to book, in a more connected way, sustainability will appear, and I think that governments and the public and the private sector need to be connected, and they need to understand again and to reinforce what really impacts the travel journey and what can be put in connected so the sustainability can obviously appear, and more supports on that also would be important.